Hey everybody, Jason Sherman here. In today's episode of Zero to CEO, I speak with Eddie Z. He's a Wall Street veteran, day trading expert. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks so much for having me.
And we're just going to be talking about trading and tech pretty much in this episode, which is pretty cool. And like some of the truths behind it. There is so much going on in the world of trading. I mean, everyone during the pandemic saw the whole, Wall Street bets debacle, right? And like GameStop and all
Yeah.
that stuff. Crypto, there's real estate, there's stocks. Let's just kind of rip the band-aid off and talk about when it comes to trading, in your opinion, what is what are the most important pieces of it to find out like what matters the most?
Well, I think the thing that matters the most when it comes to trading, if you really want to be successful as a day trader or even a swing trader, is having a methodology, having a systematic approach to it, something that's repeatable, something that has a proven track record. It doesn't have to be 100% because there's no such thing. In fact, as long as your methodology works, you have more winning. You don't necessarily have to have more winning trades.
Right.
But if you have a system where you can cut the losses, the ones that aren't working soon enough, and you let the winners run more than you let the losers go,
Right.
and it's repeatable, then you can be successful at trading.
Yeah, one of the things I learned from trading is what you just said about cutting your losses, like implementing stop losses. A lot of people, what they'll do is they'll like hold on to the trade because they believe in the stock or the coin or whatever it is. And they're like, no, I love this. It's going to go back up. And then it just keeps going down and down,
Yeah.
95% loss. And if you had just put in that stop loss and maybe lost a little bit on the trade, but like you said if your other trades are winning, and then you're losing on a couple overall, yes, you would have lost, X amount of dollars, but you would have gained X amount of dollars. So how do you get
Yes.
into that mindset? How do you,
Well, that
it's hard. It's hard.
That's a very diff. Well, that's because as human beings, we're designed to be right. Our need to be right just overrides everything. And so the scenario you just described is very common because we're constantly backing up our need to be right. Even when we know we're wrong, we have this thing to psychological behavior known as consistent commitment. And there's been books written about this human behavior. It's, for example, when people they pick a political candidate, and then in their head they might start to realize perhaps they made a mistake, but because they perhaps pontificated about this person to their whole family, they don't
Right.
want to look bad, so they're constantly needing to be right. And it's
Interesting.
part of the human condition, which is why using stop losses is a great way to prevent a big loss because you're programming, you're admitting your mistake. Also, if you want to have a happy marriage, it's uh it's a good recipe there
Use
too.
stop losses, guys. Just use it. I do admit, like, because it says, you've gotten through three market crashes, and I want to talk about that. I've also lived through those as well. One of them being the real estate crash in
Oh
2008,
yeah.
but there were some other ones, and especially in crypto, there's ups and downs. There's the 4-year cycle. There's all sorts of situations, but getting to the point where you have this system in place that you talked about, how do you even come up with a system in the first place? Because a lot of people probably don't even know how to do that.
Yeah, well, you got to start by finding a mentor who has some type of system that makes sense to you. So for me, it was a gentleman named William O'Neill. He wrote a book called How to Make Money in Stocks. He was the original founder of the newspaper called the Investor Business Daily, which only exists in digital form now. There's not too many newspapers out there anymore.
That's true.
But in that book, How to Make Money in Stocks, it was a bestseller for many years. You can find it on Amazon. He describes a system for it's I would call it more of a swing trading methodology. It's a little
Okay.
bit longer term. What I
Days,
did
weeks,
is,
months.
yeah, so in that book, yeah, days, weeks, months, sometimes years. What I've done is I've taken his chart patterns. He describes about five different chart patterns in that book. And what I've personally done is just taken those patterns and refine them to a shorter term methodology, more of a
Got it.
day trading to maybe hold the stock overnight. I don't have the patience to hold stocks overnight just because
It's
of,
tough because what if it
yeah,
crashes while you're sleeping, which is the big issue, right?
right, right. And then if you want to trade crypto, uh, when you wake up in the middle of the night to do whatever, and then you're looking at your phone, that's not a good behavior either.
Right. Because
So,
there is no bell, the
right,
bell ringing in the
exactly.
morning. It doesn't ever end, especially on the weekends too, when a lot of losses happen. So there's so many different factors with trading, right? There's speed. You mentioned, short-term trading. There's, long-term trading. There's also strategies, like you mentioned, 5 different charts. I know there's like a wick-off pattern, and like there's head and shoulders and all sorts
Right.
of, cup handles, whatever. There's so many different
The
things.
cup and handle.
Yeah,
That the
cup and
cup and
handles.
handle that you mentioned, that is my absolute favorite chart. I
Why
would
is
call
that?
that the world greatest chart pattern because when a stock breaks out from that pattern called the cup and handle, and think of it like a coffee cup, like if you're looking at a coffee cup or a teacup from the side, that's what the pattern looks like. And
Okay.
when that breaks out, it has a very high probability of working. You can put a stop loss right underneath what you paid if you catch it right, and they can run really, really hard. You can get a multi-hour to a multi-day trade and make a really great return. It's a very consistent chart pattern. So
Nice.
it happens to be my favorite. So it's the one that's worked best for me.
Yeah, I haven't seen them often, but when I do, people do talk them up quite a bit because they usually do run up quite a bit. So you're right about that. Now, I saw in the notes, which was a bit, to me, it's a bit confusing because I build computers for kind of like
Okay, sure.
I've been building them since I was in college. That's what I went to school for, computers. So it says here your trading computer is quietly costing you money. What the heck do you mean by
Okay.
that?
So people start to get into trading, day trading, very active trading, let's call it.
Okay.
There's this new phenomenon, I don't know if you're familiar with, where there are companies out there who claim they're going to fund traders. So they give you a chance to learn trading
Yep.
and they set you up with a simulated account.
Funded
You,
accounts, and if you do
yeah,
well, then you can get
an
something out.
evaluation account, they call it, like a
Yeah,
test account.
I've been seeing
And
that
if
a
you do
lot
well,
lately.
they'll fund you. Yeah, it's a whole new kind of industry, let's call it. Um, I think the
I
thing,
don't get it, but I see it. Yeah.
yeah, I can explain it, but I probably won't spin it in a very positive
There's
way.
no point. There's no point because I'm not going to do
Okay.
it.
So, but if you're trading and you're sitting there taking in real-time quotes. So you got real-time quotes coming in, and maybe you're running someone who's teaching in a Zoom room like we're in right now, or some type of online classroom. You got a news feed coming in. Once you start running your computer, it's going to with the real-time trading and with getting the real-time quotes, doesn't matter what trading platform you're using, you're going to start using up all the resources. And
Right.
when you really get into it, it's kind of like streaming 10 Netflix movies at the same time.
Yeah.
Except that when you turn your TV on and you click on the Netflix button, this like little spinny wheel comes up and it takes 10, 15 seconds for it to load. Well, what's happening in the background is all those little thumbnails are loading. It's
Yeah.
just not showing them to you
Right.
just yet. So when you do start scrolling through them, they start playing instantly.
Right.
In the stock market or in crypto or in any live market, you can't have a spinny wheel. There's no buffering allowed. It's got to be spot on.
Instantaneous. Yeah.
Yeah. So that real time data stream, if that gets bottlenecked inside your computer for, say, a half a second to a full second in an older machine, it can really be bad.
Yeah.
Then any methodology you're using can get totally thrown out of whack because the prices that you see are just a couple of like a millisecond to
Right.
hundreds of milliseconds off. And so when you put your order in to buy or sell, the price you get filled at, the executed price, is a little bit different than what you expected.
Yeah.
And that's what can throw off your system. And so that's like one of the biggest mistakes I see folks make trading is they'll take a computer 7, 8, 9 years old. We didn't have this level of broadband like we have today.
Right.
No one was talking about AI
Right.
6, 7, 8 years ago. And that computer is going to have issues.
Yeah,
And
that's true.
so and the last thing you need when trading is to trigger your fight or flight response, like that frustration when you get really
Yeah, and you
annoyed,
make bad mistakes. Yeah,
bad decisions, and it
yeah.
leads to a cascade of bad decisions.
Right, because you're like, oh, I just messed up here. I better make up for it, and then you do another bad one, and you just
Yeah,
kind of keep
I
trying to
call
make
that yeah, I call that revenge trading.
revenge traders. Yeah, those are
Yeah.
that's a tough situation to be in.
I used to be the worst. So I know all about revenge trading.
Uh,
And one of the biggest things you can do is just admit when you're wrong. And just going back to that, it's really the hardest thing. And, catching yourself in these behaviors.
and
But when it comes to the
and
technology,
walking
that's the
away
issue.
from it, right? Walking away from it too. Like I remember there were moments where I mean, I made so many bad decisions, like colossally bad decisions. Or like, why did I do that? If I knew that it probably was the wrong move, but my gut said to try it anyway. And when you
It
make these
was your
bad,
Yeah, it was
yeah,
your primal brain. It was that old reptilian side of your brain making a
greed.
revenge trade.
And
Yeah,
it was greed too, it was like, oh, I could make so much off this trade. And sometimes what I had to do, and it really works well. I don't know, maybe you were going to say it does, or maybe it doesn't, is you walk away from trading for whatever amount of time.
oh,
For
you
me,
have to.
for
You
me, it might
have
be
to.
months at a time where I'm like, I'm taking a break from this. This is destroying me. And I'm going to come back with a clear head, and then things are better. And then I have more, more positive, like you said, no more revenge. My system's back in place, and it starts to work again. But how do you stay in that zone is
Yeah.
really that's
You
the
have
tough.
to kind of take the point of view that most of trading is sitting around waiting for your perfect chart setup. And it's not like playing a video game where
Yeah,
you're
you
busy the
can't
whole
pause
time.
it.
Your mind is moving, right?
Yeah, you can't
So
pause.
for
You can't
me,
respawn. If you die, you die.
I mean, it can happen in trading too,
Yeah,
if you're not smart about it. So for me, having another business where I happen to try to help people optimize their computer for trading is a great distraction. So when I'm not trading, I have something else to work on.
nice.
Trading is not a full-time, in my opinion. If you can make it your living, but if you can't make something appear out of nothing,
Right.
like earlier today, there really wasn't a lot going on. I wasn't seeing a lot of good chart setups to trade.
Yep.
And so I have other things I can be working on that are much more constructive that will
Sure.
always lead to something good happening, as long as I continue to work on it. Trading is just not like that. It's mostly waiting. It's mostly
Waiting.
being patient. The more waiting, usually the better you do. And if you get into a really bad rut where you have like a number of losing trades in a row, it's exactly what you just said. It's walking away, kind of regrouping, reevaluating, and then examining what you've done wrong.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And part of the technology piece too, you mentioned the computer has to be on point, but I mean internet, you need a really fast internet connection. I remember hearing about this or reading about it or seeing it in a movie somewhere where like Wall Street at one point they were like all about trying to get that faster
Yes.
signal from, the stocks around the world or
Yeah. So
something like.
there was a book about what's called flash trading,
Yeah.
where these hedge funds,
Yeah.
and I mean it's still happening. It's just a little bit different now.
Right.
But these hedge funds were trying to build direct fiber connections from
Right.
right next to the exchange's servers to their computers, so they would have
Instant
like
access. Yeah.
microseconds and to front run essentially
Yeah.
other people's trades. And the same guy who wrote the book Moneyball,
Hmm.
I'm trying to remember his name. A couple of really great movies they made his books into. He
Yeah.
wrote this book about the flash traders, and can't remember if it was made into a movie or not. I
Yeah.
can't remember,
I've
but the
seen
book's
it.
very interesting.
I've seen it. I remember the fiber, and I remember them trying to get the signal as quickly as possible ahead of
Yeah.
everybody else. So I remember seeing it. So it must have been a movie because I've seen it. But yeah, that just tells you internet and technology is important. People probably don't even think about that. So before we go, I want you to tell us the top mistake traders make and how they can avoid it.
Well, I think we've kind of gone over the top mistake that traders make, and that is not having a system. And then number two is not using a stop loss. Stop
Mm,
loss is like the ultimate parachute in trading. It's I'm wrong. And even though I think I'm right, this is where I'm wrong.
Yeah.
And I'm out. Let the computer, let the servers take me out of the trade so I don't, hang myself. And then on the computer side, it's like trying to trade on an inadequate piece of equipment that can really, because it'll just foul up your whole system. And that's a huge, huge deal. And I guess when you combine those two, the big mistake is not realizing how easy it is to trigger your fight or flight response. If you have a computer issue in the middle of trading, you're going to trigger that fight or flight response.
Yeah.
Just like if you lose money, and then that cascades into the bad decisions. I've never really thought of it that way, but it's those things that it's really that fight or flight response, and not realizing as human beings how fallible we are, because we're not computers, we're not robots.
Right. That's why we use them, because they're
Yeah.
faster. They're faster at a lot of things than we are. And of course, nothing that we talked about is financial advice. If there was anything, if there was anything we mentioned, we're just trying to help you guys out. And where can people find out more about what you do, and if they want to work with you?
Sure. My website is easy, the letter E's, EZ, tradingcomputers.net. You can also find me on YouTube, Eddie Z Trading, EDDIEZ Trading, on YouTube. And then the site where where I teach people how to day trade stocks is called Easy Breakouts, Easy BREAKOUTS.com. That
Awesome.
one's .com, the other one's .net.
Guys, reach out to Eddie Z, man. He's a master trader, easytradingcomputers.net, and all the socials. Hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Use your stop losses. We'll see you guys in the next
Use
episode.
your stop losses. Definitely do that.
See you guys later.